Hey guys, welcome back to Wrestling News 365. Hope everyone is doing very well. As always, there is a ton of news stories to get into today, so let's talk about Impact Wrestling. Let's talk about last night's episode of Impact Wrestling on Access TV. My, oh my, it was a good one. Now, I don't know what the ratings are going to say. Turns out with Impact Wrestling, when it comes to the ratings, we shouldn't even bother at this point, but what an episode it was last night of Impact Wrestling on Access TV, and one of the big talking points last night was a title change, but not an Impact Wrestling title change. We'd spoken about this when it came to the spoilers. Obviously, this was taped over the course of Sunday and Monday, the latest set of Impact Wrestling television tapings in Dallas, Texas. But we have a new Ring of Honor Women's World Champion, that being Deonna Purrazzo. Yes, Deonna Purrazzo once again holds two championships at the same time, but not from Impact, from Ring of Honor and from AAA. So Deonna Purrazzo is your new Ring of Honor ROH Women's World Champion. Now, last night, Impact Wrestling's episode saw Purrazzo defeat Roxy to win the title. Purrazzo's AAA Reina de Reyes title was also up for grabs in the Winners Take All main event. Now, the title change makes Purrazzo the second Ring of Honor Women's World Champion. Roxy became the inaugural champion by defeating Miranda Elise in the finals of a 15-woman tournament back at Death Before Dishonor on September 12th. Now, this was Purrazzo's first Ring of Honor match since losing to Kelly Klein at the May 13, 2018 Ring of Honor television tapings, but tonight's match was made, or last night's match rather, was made after she challenged Roxy back at Final Battle in December following her title defense over Willow Nightingale. Now, Roxy had just 4 successful title defenses in her reign, so Purrazzo once again is now a dual champion, but has not defended her AAA title since winning it from Fabi Apache at Triple Mania in August of last year. Now, obviously, this wasn't the only Ring of Honor influence on the show. We're going to talk about a former Ring of Honor star signing with Impact Wrestling later on in the video, but the ROH Rogue Group Invasion storyline, which of course began at Hard to Kill last weekend when Ring of Honor stars attacked the 10-man Hardcore War participants, continued after Purrazzo's big victory last night on Access TV. Now, earlier in the night, the group featuring PCO, Vincent, and the OGK attacked D'Lo Brown at the announce table and later attacked Eddie Edwards backstage. After Purrazzo won the Ring of Honor Championship, ROH's Maria Kanellis entered the ring and had words with her. PCO, Vincent, and the OGK then hit the ring and surrounded Purrazzo until Matthew Rewald tried to make the save. They beat him down and Purrazzo escaped the ring. Willie Mack and Rich Swann tried to make the save, but they were also taken out. Impact went off the air with the Ring of Honor stars posing together in the ring. Now, of course, Ring of Honor is currently on hiatus, but the promotion remains alive as its champion of the likes of Ring of Honor World Champion Jonathan Gresham defending his title on various shows, including that Hard to Kill last weekend where he retained over Chris Sabin. Gresham also appeared on last night's Impact Wrestling episode, and he had words with Steve Macklin after Macklin accused him of being involved with this Ring of Honor Rogue group. Gresham told Gia Miller that he had nothing to do with the Ring of Honor invasion. When it comes to Ring of Honor and their return, Ring of Honor announced this week that they will return to action with the Supercard of Honor events during WrestleMania 38 weekend on Friday, April 1st from the Curtis Cowell Center in Dallas-Fort Worth, Texas. So there's a lot going on there, I know. First of all, this to me is why I'm so big on the Knockouts division in Impact Wrestling. This is, and I know it involved the Ring of Honor Women's World Championship. I know it involved Roxy, not even technically an Impact Wrestling talent, but what you've had right now, you have had a main event of a pay-per-view, and Impact Wrestling only does 4 or 5 traditional pay-per-views per year. You've had the main event of a pay-per-view end with a Knockouts match. You've had the main event of a broadcast, a television broadcast, end with a Knockouts match for a title as well, and it's what people are talking about. That is evidence alone of Impact Wrestling's push and philosophy when it comes to women's wrestling. That's why I say, AEW, have they made improvements when it comes to their women's division over the course of the last 12 months? Absolutely, of course they have. Is it as good as Impact Wrestling's? No. And I think with WWE previously, I would have said that that's the place to be in North America for women's wrestling, and it still, to an extent, is. I think if you want to make proper money and you want to have those big moments, obviously females have main evented WrestleMania 2 out of the last 3 years. And, they've got some huge stars there, and they do main event pay-per-views, and they do main event television broadcasts. However, it's becoming more and more apparent that those sort of core 4 horsewomen that they have in WWE, maybe with a couple extra people in, Bianca Belair, for example, that's all they really care about. Impact Wrestling, The Knockouts division is a pillar of the company. It is a cornerstone of the company. It's been woven into the fabric of the company. It is treated deadly serious, and they have some of the best female competitors in the world competing in Impact Wrestling, one of whom is Deonna Purrazzo. If you've watched this channel for long enough, you know that I've been beating the Deonna Purrazzo drum for a long time, saying for me, she is right up there with not only just one of the best female wrestlers in the world, she's absolutely in that conversation, but she's up there for one of the best pro wrestlers in the world today. She continues to generate buzz about Impact Wrestling. She continues to generate buzz for herself, and there is a reason. I know it's pro wrestling. I know it's scripted. I know that the outcomes are predetermined. I get it, but Deonna Purrazzo continues to create buzz. She continues to create buzz because she's really, really good. She is really, really good, and it's smart. It's smart by Impact Wrestling and Ring of Honor. Frankly, Ring of Honor have been desperate to have Deonna Purrazzo back in their company. When she initially came into Impact Wrestling in 2020, Ring of Honor were reaching out time and time again. Do you want to come in? Do you want to come in? Do you want to come in and compete? Because that's when they were doing the tournament for the Women's Championship. Do you want to be involved in this? We'll build the division around you because they know how good she is. And Impact Wrestling managed to get that deal over the line. But Ring of Honor obviously would want someone like Deonna Purrazzo to be their Women's World Champion while they're on hiatus. From an Impact Wrestling perspective as well, it's really genius booking because they go, right, we had Deonna Purrazzo lose to Mickie James at Bound for Glory. I think, and I don't know this to be accurate, but I think the plan initially was to have Deonna Purrazzo win the title back at Hard to Kill. Obviously, plans change. Mickie James goes in the Rumble. Obviously, Ring of Honor folds. I think all of that, they went, you know what? We need Mickie to come out at the Rumble as the Knockouts champion. She needs to be announced as the Knockouts champion on commentary. She needs to come out holding the title because that's big for us. It is. It's one of WWE's biggest shows of the year. It's a stadium show. Mickie James coming out holding the belt, it's a big deal for Impact. It's a big deal. So they go, how can we protect Deonna Purrazzo? First of all, we give them the main event at a pay-per-view. That's a big deal. First time that's happened since the division was created back in 2007, 2008. That's a big deal on a pay-per-view. It opened with a women's event. It closed with a women's event. Again, that's Impact's perspective on women's wrestling. Not only that, they have a great match. They tear it down, but they go, you know what? We are still going to push Deonna Purrazzo. We're still going to protect her because she's going to win a bout and become a double champion a couple of days later anyway. And that's what she did. And it's not just, again, it's not a token gesture because it was the main event of last night's show. Legitimately, it was the best match on the show. It was the best thing of the show. Yeah, the angle afterwards was fine. And yes, putting, you know, D'Lo Brown through the announce table and all that kind of stuff was fine. But that was the best wrestling on the wrestling show last night was the main event, Deonna Purrazzo, Roxy. And I think from a Ring of Honor perspective, they know that Roxy might go to WWE. There's been rumors about her maybe going to another company as well, or other companies. They know where Deonna Purrazzo is going. They know certainly she's not going to WWE. They know she'll probably be in Impact Wrestling or she's tied to Impact Wrestling for an extended period of time. They know that she's, you know, obviously got those contractual commitments now to AAA as well. They know that they can rely on her to be around by the time they come back around in April next year. Or, yeah, exactly. Or later this year, rather. So, I thought it was great and really enjoyable. The Ring of Honor invasion angle, we're going to touch on that in a second, but it was a great show. And you know, I don't know, like I said at the beginning of the video, I don't know if it will necessarily change anything when it comes to ratings. I think Impact are always going to be limited when it comes to their exposure because Access TV is what it is, unfortunately. But what they can do, they can create buzz. And they can find a way to try and, despite the second half of last year being a bit of a downer for Impact Wrestling, during the pandemic, certainly 2020 and early 2021, they were doing great stuff. And they were generating a lot of buzz, a bit of a resurgence from Impact. And they still are kind of tainted and stained by the sins of their past, that when you say, look, Impact Wrestling's really good right now, it's been really good for the last few years, and people go, oh, what, that TNA back in the day, all this kind of stuff, Russo, you go, no, it's changed. And all Impact Wrestling can do right now is continue to produce good content, continue to create content that gets people interested and creates a buzz on social media. And this Ring of Honor invasion angle, Deonna Purrazzo winning the Ring of Honor Women's World Championship, is the way to do it. So I loved it. I thought it was a great show, and I thought it was a great main event. And again, if you haven't watched the match, if you haven't watched the show last night, but you're watching this video, go watch it. It's well worth a watch. Now, speaking of Impact Wrestling working with other companies, it's not just Ring of Honor they're working with, it's also New Japan Pro Wrestling. There was the big announcement a couple of days ago that the GOD, yes, are making their Impact Wrestling television debuts later this month. This is a really exciting story and a really exciting announcement by Impact Wrestling because New Japan Pro Wrestling's Gorillas of Destiny Tama Tonga and Tanga Loa are set to make their Impact Wrestling debut. Impact Wrestling announced this week that Tonga and Loa will be part of the January 21st and 22nd television tapings in Pembroke Pines, Florida. Now, if that date sounds familiar, it should, because GOD's announcement comes on the heels of word that fellow New Japan and Bullet Club member Jay White will be returning to Impact at the very same television tapings. So some sort of Bullet Club faction war has been teased at different points on social media between GOD, White, and former Bullet Club members Kyle Anderson and Doc Gallows. Now, Tonga and Loa are 7-time IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team Champions in New Japan, former Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions, and have held the Never Openweight 6-man Tag Team Championships on 4 occasions with different members of the Bullet Club. Now, they won New Japan's most prestigious tag team tournament, the World Tag League, in 2020, and it's exciting. It's really exciting. What I think... There's obviously, like I said before, the relationship with Impact Wrestling and New Japan has been there for a while now, since they sort of made peace with what happened in the past with Okada and Russo and all that kind of stuff. But I think the relationship, as I mentioned a couple of days ago and previously when we spoke about New Japan coming back to Access TV, I think it's just going to get bigger and stronger, and that relationship is going to be expanded upon because you've got this block now of pro wrestling programming on Access TV, which of course is owned by Anthem, which owns Impact Wrestling. But you've got before the Impact, you've got Impact Wrestling, and then you've got New Japan. Basically, New Japan's lead-in is Impact Wrestling. So if they didn't have a great working relationship before, they certainly do now, and we're going to see way, way, way more of this, especially with these talents that are based domestically in the United States, like Jay White, like GOD, like El Fantasma, and the list goes on and on and on and on, of all of these New Japan Pro Wrestling stars that are based in the US. They're going to be working a lot more Impact Wrestling television tapings, and vice versa. We're going to probably see more Impact Wrestling stars go over to New Japan, work those New Japan Strong tapings. And it's exciting. I think, obviously, something significant here is going to happen with the Bullet Club at this television tapings. And again, I don't know if this is Kyle Anderson and Doc Gallows, rejoining, or I don't know if it's, because at one point when AJ Styles was in there, Kyle Anderson was the leader. First leader was Prince Devitt, Finn Balor, and the next one, people forget, was Kyle Anderson. Kyle Anderson was the leader. So it could be a case of Kyle Anderson maybe facing off with Jay White and saying, no, I want to be back in the Bullet Club, but I want to be the leader again. Or I don't know. I don't know how they'll deal with it. Also, the other side of it, I could see, and this would certainly be interesting, what if you've got this Ring of Honor invading faction and they go up against the Bullet Club? That's interesting. That is interesting. You've got this ROH invaders that might be signed to Impact Wrestling. We'll touch on that in a second. But then you've got these Bullet Club members. You've got Jay White. You've got GOD, so that's 2. You've technically got Chris Bay. You've got Hikuleo. That's 5 right there. That can go up against Ring of Honor's guys. Or if you want to swap in the Good Brothers for, say, Chris Bay and Hikuleo, you could do that as well. So there's certainly something there that they could do. And I like the idea. I really do like the idea of having maybe a lethal lockdown. Lethal lockdown, whether it be the ROH guys versus the Bullet Club, or maybe, heck, when you have 3 teams involved, it'll become a bit of a cluster, certainly, but you could have faction warfare going on here. You could have the Ring of Honor invaders, you could have this Impact Wrestling faction, where it's like Eddie Edwards, Willie Mack, Rich Swann, etc. Josh Alexander might be in that group as well now. And then you've got the Bullet Club, and then you've got big faction warfare. That could be a big storyline for Impact Wrestling if they want to do that. So those tapings at the end of the month in January, exciting. And it's already, look, the tapings that happened after Hard to Kill were great as well. We've got a lot of great content coming up over the course of the next couple of weeks. But we can see something really exciting with GOD and this big New Japan influence there. It's very exciting, very interesting. Speaking of interesting, of course, we saw Charlie Haas make his Impact Wrestling debut last night. Of course, we spoke about this previously here on the channel where he appeared at the recent set of television tapings. But a big story coming out of the tapings, of course, was the injury that Charlie Haas suffered, or seemingly suffered, and he has taken to Twitter this week to explain in a statement what actually happened to him at Sunday's Impact Wrestling television tapings in Dallas. Now, as I mentioned, he made his Impact debut at the tapings, interrupting Josh Alexander and challenging him to a match. That led to a match between the two, and correspondents at the tapings noted that Haas was taken away on a stretcher. In an update, Haas confirmed on social media that he suffered a concussion, as many people speculated, during his match against Alexander. This is what he had to say in his full statement. It's a pretty lengthy one, but it's worth reading. He said, quote, "I'd like to start by thanking all the great wrestling fans for their reaction to my debut at the Impact Wrestling TV tapings this weekend. It was an outstanding experience with a great company. Unfortunately, during what was an incredible match of Josh Alexander, I suffered a concussion after slipping while heading into the corner. Per the video attached in this thread, you can go see it on his Twitter account, my head caught Josh's knee and the rope almost simultaneously in one of those freak wrestling accidents that you can't explain. I want to thank the great Impact management and roster for the care and attention they showed me after the incident. I can't say enough good things, and I truly look forward to working with them again in the future. I just wanted everyone to know I will be just fine, and contrary to some reports, Charlie Haas is not dead. Brackets, shirt coming soon. In fact, this appearance with Impact has lit a new fire in me. So for the first time in over 5 years, I will be taking bookings nationally in 2022. There are a ton of crazy and unique matchups happening these days, and I want to be part of it all. We will have more information on this in the coming days, but for the time being, you can book or email me," and he sends out his email address and tells people where to find him. So he confirms that he suffered a concussion. He also said that he's coming back full-time when it comes to pro wrestling, and it's great. I enjoyed the confrontation last night. I enjoyed his appearance last night on Impact, and who knows if it will lead to more. It might be a one-time thing with Impact, but the thing is, when it comes to Impact Wrestling, is you never know one-time things. So there isn't such thing as a one-time thing for Impact. Even though he doesn't have a contract with Impact Wrestling right now, he might be at the next set of tapings. Well, he might be at tapings for the next 6 months or a year. There are plenty of guys working on the Impact Wrestling roster that don't have contracts right now. They work on a handshake deal. And Charlie Haas might be the same. Charlie Haas might be the same going forward for Impact Wrestling. So good for him. Glad that he's already on the road to recovery and he feels great. And good for him that he feels like this has lit a fire underneath him and he's returning to pro wrestling full time. I'm excited to see that. And who knows what we could see with Charlie Haas going forward. Maybe we could see Kurt Angle wasn't going to wrestle ever again. Well, he said he's not. Who knows with pro wrestling? But maybe we could see a Kurt Angle appearance in Impact. Maybe he manages Charlie Haas for a match. Maybe we kind of get that Team Angle reunion that we hoped we would have seen in Kurt Angle's final run in WWE. Who knows? But Charlie Haas is on the road to recovery and he's updated his fans, so that's good news. Finally, we spoke about the Ring of Honor Invaders. We can confirm now that PCO, former Ring of Honor champion, PCO, has signed a contract with Impact Wrestling. Yes, I spoke the other day saying that I wasn't sure if they had signed contracts with Impact Wrestling, if they were working on deals, negotiating deals. We didn't know. What we do know right now is at least one of them has, that being PCO, because he is now under contract with Impact Wrestling. Pat LaPrade reported on his podcast that PCO has signed a contract with Impact Wrestling. LaPrade noted that the deal allows PCO to work indie shows, but he has to prioritize dates for Impact. This is the same deal that the majority of Impact Wrestling stars have. Impact don't do exclusive deals anymore. They allow stars to work indie dates, preferably not with television, but even if they do have television, it's just a case of when we have our tapings, you have to work them, basically. Otherwise, you can do what you want. And really, it's not that much of a big deal considering Impact Wrestling runs, 4 times a month, if that, so it's not a big deal at all. The 54-year-old PCO appeared at Impact's Hard to Kill pay-per-view last Saturday in what was presented as part of the Ring of Honor Invasion angle that we spoke about earlier. Mike Bennett, Maria Kanellis, Matt Taven, and Vincent were also involved in the angle. The group laid out Rhino, Heath, Rich Swann, and Willie Mack, this Impact Wrestling faction I spoke about. Now, it's not said as of right now that Mike Bennett, Maria, Matt Taven, Vincent, if they've signed contracts with Impact Wrestling. I think if they'd had, we would have probably heard about that. PCO's deal was always a little bit different anyway, because it was revealed last September that PCO had already given his notice to Ring of Honor that he would be departing the promotion when his contract expired at the end of November. However, Ring of Honor announced in October that they would be going on hiatus at the end of the year to reimagine what the company would be going forward. So PCO gave his notice in September, and then the following month it was like, actually, we're going on hiatus. So it was a bit of a crossover. So we don't know. We don't really know what's going to be going on with the other guys. I know that some people's contracts were slightly different. I think everyone isn't under contract with Ring of Honor anymore. They've all expired, but who knows? I think PCO might be in a different boat when it comes to some of the other guys, but I think, and I'm guilty of this as well. When Ring of Honor closed down or when they went on hiatus and everyone was released, everyone thought, oh, what names could go to AEW and all that kind of stuff. But there's plenty of pickups here for Impact. There really is plenty of pickups. And PCO, look, I get it. He's a guy in his 50s. He was in the WWE in the late 90s and all that kind of stuff. But he reimagines himself. He reinvented himself. There is still a lot you can do with him. It's a different character. He's crazy for a guy in his 50s. And it's a good pickup. So I'm excited to see what he could do in Impact Wrestling going forward. So PCO officially has been signed to the Impact Wrestling roster. As far as the other Ring of Honor guys, we don't know. We'll have to wait and see. But look, guys, as always, it's just one man's opinion. What are your thoughts on all of these Impact Wrestling news stories we've spoken about today? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. I'll do my best to respond and reply to all of your comments. Really enjoy interacting with you guys, talking about Impact Wrestling, AEW, WWE, New Japan Pro Wrestling, all things pro wrestling here on the channel. So be sure to get involved in the community. Drop a comment below. All opinions are welcome. If you have enjoyed this video, please do smash a like on the like button too. Really does help us out here on YouTube, got the rankings, and get into people's recommendation feeds if they haven't seen our videos previously. But most importantly, if you haven't already, please do subscribe to Wrestle News 365. You can do that by clicking the bottom right hand corner of the screen right now, or if you wait a few seconds, there'll be a subscribe button at the end of this video along with another video for you to watch. Thank you very much for watching, listening, streaming, or having come across this video today, and I'll speak to you again very, very soon. Hey guys, thank you for watching, listening, streaming, or however you come across this video today. Be sure to click on the video on the right there to watch our next video, or click the bottom there to subscribe, or the bottom right hand corner. Thank you very much, and I'll speak to you again very soon.